I can make it through the heat wave. New York is really trying to play crazy games, and I can't put up with it. I want some rain, but not the kind of rain that makes the city sticky. Oh, Lord. Oh. Hey, it's Trey, and I got something to say. Welcome to my channel. Memorize that handle. Thanks for joining me today. Hey all, it is Trey. Good to see you again. Pardon my little rant there at the beginning. It's just hot. I'm hoping that today's topic will help me feel a little bit cooler. You know, we're going to be watching Mariah Carey's special, Shining Through the Rain. This was a special that they put on TV to kind of address some of the controversies and the headlines that had happened over the previous year. And you guys told me after I watched the Charm Bracelet World Tour video that I needed to watch this as well before I move on to things like The Adventures of Mimi Tour. Ooh. Before we get started, please give this video a like and leave a comment down in the comment section below. Click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you get notifications when I post more Mariah Carey reaction videos. If you guys would like to follow me on social media, you can find me at TreyMcLeod_ on every platform. And if you would like to support the channel and get early ad-free access to all of my videos, as well as some exclusive content, you can go over to patreon.com/TreyMcLeod. And now, without further ado, Mariah Carey, Shining Through the Rain. And the remix. Okay, y'all. Okay. This is gonna be good. Vision of Love, darling. Ah! And we got the cute little Mariah Carey font. What? Yes! Yes! Details. Yes. Hey, sounds good. Love the 2000s fashion. Oh! This is a shortened version of the song. Clean. That was clean. Okay. It's a little bit different. It sounded like she was gonna go for a whistle. Like,
thank you much.
Just wasn't as high as she normally does. Interesting.
Hey.
Oh, she's so cute.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm great.
Thank you, so do you.
And I guess most importantly, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And what happened last year around late summer?
Mm-hmm.
Well, basically, to answer
all right. Okay, so he's kicking it off right from the very beginning. Let's talk about. We heard you were in an asylum. You know, like, been a lot of stories, darling. Let's start with the one that people really, really want to know, right? Where have you been? What really happened? And why? Is there a diagnosis, darling? There was all kinds of crazy stuff being said.
Well, basically, to answer your first question, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Now that we've cleared
I'm good,
that
but
up.
I didn't have a lot of headlines written about
No,
me.
you didn't.
All right, yes, she broke that down. She's like, you asked me a lot of questions just there. Let's do it in pieces. And it looks like now we're gonna get some of these headlines.
Somebody needs a little therapy.
What's wrong?
A star is born? Wait, I need to break these down. They rushed through them, but I need to read some of this. Mariah's meltdown, working on 2 movies, a record, and a long-term relationship. Mariah Carey lost control of her life. Now she is in the hospital recovering. When will Pop's princess bounce back? A star is born. Despite a new film and CD, Mariah Carey joins the what league? The Bush League? And then we have this one. Rehab. Tragic secret behind Mariah's breakdown. She drank around... Oh, clock. What is this? Quote, she drank around the clock. Guzzling. Not guzzling, Lord. Guzzling anything she could get her hands on. That's wild. That's clearly an embellishment. She screams, I can't take it anymore. Suicide drama after she splits with Latin lover. This is obviously embellished. This is quite crazy. Diva in distress. Beset by work pressures and romantic troubles. Mariah Carey breaks down. This is a lot, darling, so we're gonna talk about it. Thank you.
Basically, I exhausted myself because I was working 21-hour days for at least 2 or 3 months straight.
From your camp came a statement that referred to it as a physical and emotional breakdown.
No, it was not a nervous breakdown. There's a lot of different things. It was an emotional and physical. More than anything, it was my body saying, stop. Your body can only withstand so much. Sleep deprivation is real.
But I think...
So this is stuff that she talks about in her memoir, I believe. What's interesting is that in the way that she, at least when she starts talking about this, she talks about how she exhausted herself. And the language that she uses, I feel, it's almost like she's blaming herself, you know? But I think that the way that she talked about it in the memoir was very much that she was not allowed to, you know? She had to fight in order to get some sleep, to get some rest. And I think that in the time that has passed since this interview, it's become much less about her doing something to herself and her just finally giving in and succumbing to the intense, unbelievable pressure that was put on her by her management, her record label, and the people that were making money off of her.
You know, your average
Joe doesn't understand.
Right. Might
Exhaustion.
think, well, why doesn't she go take a nap?
Right, go take a nap, and guess what? Basically, that's all I needed. But the point is, half-hour naps on a 21-hour day consistently don't add up.
Right.
I'm not blaming anybody. I'm saying it's my own fault for not putting my foot down and sticking up for myself earlier and saying, no, I need a lunch break. No, I need like a half-an-hour dinner break.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. I still feel like she shouldn't have had to say that stuff. Like, was no one looking at her schedule and going, when does she sleep? Like, really, someone on her team, in her camp, should have been looking at that. But, 20 years ago, mental health was not really the priority that it is now for a lot of people. But this is the woman who wrote Make It Happen, though. So if something did not happen, her philosophy was that she needed to make it happen.
And yes, I need at least 6 hours of sleep every night. But prior to that, where it all really stemmed from is the fact that I grew up poor. I come from an interracial family. I always felt like the rug could be pulled out from under me. And I always had this...
sorry, the music changed. We went from Honey to Hero as she transitioned from talking about the funny little like jokey stuff about having a emotional and physical breakdown from exhaustion, but actually it really comes from me having a rough childhood as a poor child of an interracial relationship. Like just the tonal shift there, it made me giggle a little bit.
I was afraid that if I didn't work twice as hard as everybody else, I wouldn't succeed, and everything I'd worked for my whole life would be gone, and I'd be back living in like a little tiny room in a shack. What I needed was to just have some boundaries in my life, to take care of myself, to say no sometimes, because I never wanted to say no, because I never wanted to let the fans down, because I don't know how, and I do know a little bit better now, but I never knew how to draw the line.
Can you say with pretty a breakdown is not what happened?
You know what? When I read like the quote that was physical and emotional breakdown, I was like, breakdown? And then I was like, you know what? I can live with that. But it wasn't like I went schizo and was like 5 different personalities and needed to put in a straitjacket or tried to kill myself like they were saying.
Right.
They were saying I had slashed my wrists and done all this stuff. And it's like, none of that.
Hello? What? They said what?
There was talk about the messages that were left on the website. There was talk about broken glass and all these things that, like, all these rumors that you might have tried to to hurt yourself.
You know, right, exactly. So the broken glass thing had nothing to do with me trying to hurt myself. I broke a glass by accident, but the message on the website was me saying,
thank you, nothing's wrong. You don't have to do anything to anybody. I just need a break. Because I know I don't see this very much, but guess what? It's time to take care of myself.
it was a rambling message, but it was one of about 100 rambling messages I had left, but it would sound to a listener like, okay, something's wrong, and something was wrong.
Right.
I was totally exhausted. I needed to go to sleep.
Period. That's very valid. Yeah. Oh, Lord, we're going to talk about TRL. Oh, here we go. Talk about it.
You know, people point to that the appearance on TRL when you came on TRL.
Oh, I know. The drama, the saga of the TRL.
What are you doing?
Like, we were doing Dateline, and suddenly I went into like a striptease burlesque show. I'm like, it's TRL. I thought we were supposed to feel at home. As far as I'm concerned, I was having food fights on MTV 3 years ago for Thanksgiving. Did anybody see that? I have to stop being me because people don't, get me.
Sure.
Only thing I wish I would have.
Ooh, that part right there. I'm gonna stop being me because people don't get me. It was disastrous, the impact of that TRL episode. I never really did like Carson Daly, to be honest.
My favorite things to do after performance, when I get the opportunity, is to actually sit down and meet with and talk to my fans.
Do you have your tone bracelet on?
Yes.
Can I see it?
But okay.
Charm bracelets! Charm bracelets are so... Can we bring them back? It's the accessory that really ties this era together for her in my head. Like, it's so cute. I love having something concrete to really symbolize the era.
Butterfly. Lamb.
Okay.
Cross.
Cross.
A heart. A dolphin.
Because you like dolphins?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, she
Happy
does!
birthday.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Keep this going.
Who's that?
Hello Kitty.
Okay.
Four-leaf clover. Dolphin.
It's absolutely. Thank you. But the album one has I got a little bit deeper and they're more antique charms. I was talking to one of my cousins on my father's mother's side, and she was talking about my grandmother, how she used to have this big gold charm bracelet and just had all these things. And one of the charms on there was a mustard seed, and she was talking
Faith,
about
like a
how
mustard
it
seed.
represents faith. It's from the Bible. It's just basically if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move mountains.
Wow. This is really cute so far. I like
This summer
this.
you lost your dad. But I guess the good thing about that is you guys had gotten closer in the last few months.
Well, actually, in the last couple of years, we had started to have more conversations, and he was investigating his family tree and a bunch of different things because he has a real mixed heritage himself. His mom's African American and his father came from Venezuela but grew up in Harlem. So it's not like he knew all about his family and stuff. So I was helping him, work on that, and we had this project together, and that's something we had never really had because my parents got divorced when I was 3. And he actually saved everything I've ever made for him in my life since I was 2 years old. And I have it. It's in this folder that he made for me. And
Did it surprise you that he had that kind of a
Yes.
sentimental side?
yes, because
Wait, is that probably the little archive where she gets the photo, the self-portrait that she did and ended up using as kind of the centerpiece for the Me, I Am Mariah, the Elusive Chanteuse album?
he thought, when I was singing in Vision of Love, Suffer from Alienation, all those things I was saying, he thought that was about him, me feeling abandoned by him, which it totally wasn't. And we had this whole conversation, which was look, that, it's just about how I've always felt growing up. I always felt different being, multiracial. I didn't really feel like I knew where I fit in. I felt this way, that. And we had this intense conversation. And then he said to someone else, Mariah told me such and such, that really means so much to me, that lifted such a burden off me. Meanwhile, I never knew it. So I just thank God that I had that time and that we were able to clear the air of everything. At the end, he couldn't really have flowers or things like that because he would have an allergic reaction. So the sunflower became this thing, and my mother told me that they used to grow sunflowers when I was little, and I didn't know that. So it became this thing where I always would bring sunflowers. And so for his memorial, we did the whole, the place where we had his memorial in sunflowers, and that's kind of why I did it for the video. For that.
And there's a track on the album. Cool.
Yeah.
Wait a second. So I've seen the Through the Rain video. one of her better videos, in my opinion. I completely missed the sunflowers detail, though, because I just thought she looked so gorgeous on the altar in the church. Didn't even notice the sunflowers in the background. But yes, that video is like the story of her parents, because, well, she's going to talk about it in the interview, but she also talked about it in the book, in the memoir.
I know that, you know, your being biracial has been a big part of you, not only in your growing up, but also your career. Do you feel like it's something that still maybe people don't appreciate enough is such a part of you?
I think most people don't know, honestly.
Yes.
And it's funny because the more I talk about it, it seems the less people know.
Yeah.
It's so strange. When my mother married my father, her family disowned her. Most of her family disowned her. So what does that do to your sense of self?
Sure.
It's like, okay, does that mean like I'm dirty, I'm unhealthy, I'm like not, you know, I'm not worthy of living because like this union is wrong, therefore like what does that make me? You know, that's a thing that's always been kind of disturbing for me.
And of course, you know, since Butterfly, there's been this dichotomy or this thing of, you know, people always saying, well, are we gonna, this time are we gonna get the hip hop Mariah, or are we gonna get the balladeer Mariah? Are you caught in the middle? Do you feel like, is that an annoyance?
No, like when I'm creating a like an album, I just write make the records that I want to make. Growing up in New York, growing up the way that I did with such a mixed background, you couldn't help but be absorbed in like the hip hop culture.
The fact is, you're at home, if not more so, in the R&B and hip hop world than you are in the pop world.
I mean, in all honesty, yeah.
Right.
You know, most of my friends and most of the music that I listen to and most of my influences are R&B or hip hop.
And what she's talking about there, I think it still rings very true. Like, it's very common growing up of mixed race, if people know what your ethnicity is. And there was a time in my life where I wasn't really comfortable sometimes telling people right away, or it was a little something that I would hide, because then what I felt inevitably would happen was then I would do something that people associate more with something that white people do, or something that black people do. Very counterproductive thinking. If I placed first in whatever race we were doing in PE that day, people would be like, oh, Trey, your black genes are showing or something, you know? And it's just like, that kind of thinking carries through from like the classroom to the level, the way that you think about artists of mixed race, where it's like, are you gonna get the black Mariah, or are you gonna get the white Mariah? And it's just like, that's not a choice that any of us make when we're of mixed race. It's what naturally flows out of us, and people feel the need to just compartmentalize it. It's the same thing as having to feel like we need to create subcategories of race. I think Bell Hooks is someone who does a really good job of explaining it in an interview that she talks about, where often white people come across a black person who goes against their stereotypical thought of what a black person is like, and so they then create this subgenre of what a black person is. It's all, I think it's all tied together. That, and then thinking, which version of Mariah are we gonna get today? Like, we are all people. We all contain multitudes. We all contradict ourselves. There's so much to all of us, and we have to resist that simplification, because it doesn't really do anything for us, at least not for our souls. Might do things for our wallets, but anyways, I've been talking for too long about this. Mariah said it well enough. Come on. Come on, bring him out, bring him out, bring him out, yo.
Cause usually I stay on the block, but the girl at the Baker, Mark Jacob,
Hey,
I'm a monster,
that was good.
8 keys, 2 hands, loud in the strip. Like a friend, baby, we could be a couple still. Say my own, how I sing it, what's up?
You're so
Yes.
like modest though. I mean, you look at people, you look at them like they're people. You don't look at them like like you're looking at me right now, and you look at me like I'm a person. Like you are. Where I grew up was a really small town in Illinois, and there wasn't too many biracial people. Even though I have little brothers, but just people. They tell you you're not gonna be something or whatever. Sorry. And your music.
Don't make me cry.
I just wanted to tell you that your music has inspired me so much, Mariah.
Thank you. You're
I know.
biracial?
Yeah. I saw somebody with hair like mine. I didn't have to be ashamed to wear my hair curly. I didn't have to. I didn't have to say, you know, when people were like, choose one side, because I don't have to choose a side.
Right.
I can be who I
Period.
am.
But see, these are the things, like, I grew up without somebody that I could look at like that. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain. It's a mixed bag.
Moving on to a project known as Glitter, a project that you had conceived of and nurtured and I know meant a lot
Attempted
to
to
you.
nurture.
Attempted to nurture. But didn't turn out to be the project you had originally
No,
envisioned.
it was a different concept from the start. And what I learned is, unless you have somebody really on your side who's very knowledgeable about and powerful in the Hollywood system, you know, working with you to develop an idea of that nature, it can totally get screwed up. Like, do I think it was the worst thing ever made on earth, the way they sounded, you know, the way they made it sound? No, there's still some little cute parts that I would laugh at if I saw them, like,
I
oh,
would
cute,
agree.
whatever.
I would agree.
You know, was I
Yeah.
thrilled with it? No. In terms of soundtracks, it was like the 5th most successful soundtrack that year, and Loverboy was the #1 selling single of the year, and you can check it with Billboard. And it's like, you can check that with Billboard time.
Hey.
It did sell for
Loverboy,
49
okay.
cents per copy. or-
Well, doesn't every single no, it did. Not everyone. There were
Right.
extended
Others,
mixes
okay.
that were like $2 or whatever. My fans like a nice, you know, bunch of extended mixes and
No, I know. They
versions.
buy every version
do?
under the sun if they can.
Yeah, so we shouldn't go to that place.
And then, of course, not.
You know, it's interesting to me that I think that they were talking in that moment of the interview about how maybe people felt that remixes were being released in order to do some damage control or boost sales, inflate sales, and make it look like the song was doing better than it actually was. Kind of reminds me of the way that people talk about a certain artist today selling the same album but with different covers, limited edition covers, or the same album getting re-released with like 1 or 2 new a cappella or instrumental or acoustic versions of songs. And you know, it's very likely, I haven't gone this far back in history, but it's very likely the same thing was also said about artists who would go on to release a deluxe edition of a successful album or maybe a not successful album. It's just, you know, people have their people that they hate to see winning. And whether or not they have a point to their complaints, history is going to do what it's going to do. So I just think when people say things like that and complain about things like that and try to say that people are dishonest or whatever, it's just like, well, maybe you're just a hater. Maybe you're just bitter. Maybe you just hate to see certain people win.
And then, of course, not a whole lot of time after that came the split with your label at the time, Virgin.
Yeah.
I mean, this sort of like triple, I don't know what you want to call it, disappointment or whatever you want to call it, period of, you know, this exhaustion,
Depletion and exhaustion.
right? Glitter and everything that happened with that, and then splitting with the label. I mean,
the way she sounded exhausted when she said exhaustion, physical depletion and exhaustion. You know, like she looks exhausted as she's looking at him.
this
Physical
exhaustion,
depletion and exhaustion.
right? Glitter and everything that happened with that, and then splitting with the label. I mean, when you look back on it, are you angry at yourself for some of the stuff that went on?
I feel like it's a lesson learned. Am I sad about certain things? Of course, but I can't turn back the hands of time. If I could, I would protect myself in other ways that would have started years before that. It was about learning to take care of myself in a lot of ways. But in terms of last year, No, I feel like I learned a lesson, and I'm glad I learned it.
Is it just me, or did her little Long Island accent pop out there for a second?
But in terms of last year, no, I feel like I learned a lesson, and I'm glad I learned it now rather than down the road with 3 kids or something like that. You know what I mean? I feel like I learned a lesson, and I feel like, you know, if you can keep getting hit and hit and hit, and you still get up, then you're all right.
Good point.
What you're giving me. You surpass all my fantasies. Cause I know how it feels to be part of your boy. Every day of my life, so abundant with joy. And I understand what love could be real. Still the angels guided you to me. Yes, stars at night.
There it is.
Simple situation that I can't have. Wanna get a little closer, but I promise myself that I would never give my heart up. Oh, again. Ooh, ooh, babe. I'm not somebody that could be the one. But I promise myself that I would give in to love. And I'm scared and I'm nervous. Don't wanna be hurt anymore. This is bad, 'cause I know that you're the one. Know everyone out there can relate.
The verses of this song. Hey. Show off.
Another
mama.
theory that was
All
floating
right.
around when people were trying to figure out what was going on with you last summer, and apart
If it
from
was another
Exhaustion,
theory.
was this is
like, I'm
because
used
she
to
had a
it, baby.
tailspin from her breakup with Luis Miguel.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
But that's not the case.
No.
In fact, you guys had broken up a while before that.
Yes.
Right.
Actually, I mean, it had been pretty much over, and then we like sort of got back together, but in my mind, we really weren't.
So among the
Oh.
people that you were romantically linked with for a while, there was Eminem.
Yes,
Was there anything to that?
To the romantically linked,
Yes,
like
that you guys were together.
together in what way?
Well, sexually,
No, we were not together sexually.
no romance.
We were not together sexually. I hung out with him. I talked to him many times. I thought he was a cool person. It was fun. Hip hip hooray. But anything else did not occur.
There are a fair number of, I guess you might say, boy songs on the album, and yet, if I'm not mistaken, there's no one's particular at the moment in your life.
Well, you don't know when I wrote that song
Oh,
either.
this is true. You got me there. The other half, sort of that question was, there is no one at the moment, right? I mean,
No.
Okay. So you're not really like actively looking to meet that right person.
No, I think when you do that is when you don't meet the right person. You know what I mean? And also, I'm very protective over myself, like physically. That's why when you asked me that question before and I said it was not a sexual relationship,
Right.
because I can name on one hand the amount of people, less than one hand, the amount of people I've actually been with in that way. And that's
true.
something that, no, it's not necessarily the standard, but it's because I saw things growing up that I didn't want to duplicate.
That's so true. That's something that a lot of people know about Mariah Carey. She's not loose. She's not like that. And there's no shame if you are, okay? But that's not who Mariah is. So I'm gonna do it again. For Skittles the rapper to say that was going on between the two of them, it was like, listen, you might be hot shit right now. You might be hot stuff in the rap world and doing a little bit of a crossover, and people like also in the pop world appreciate your work. That does not mean that Mariah Carey? Really? I find it amusing, and I think that's really what Mariah is getting at here, is that it's amusing that people believed that. When that is such an obvious play by a young rapper, it doesn't even have to be a rapper, just young men in general will lie and say that they have been with so-and-so, especially if that woman is financially successful, if she is deemed sexually desirable by the public. They'll lie because they know that people will believe the man over the woman, and if there are any photos to suggest anything like that, or any type of evidence to suggest certain things, it still goes on. It has happened very recently, in years that I can remember, whether it was a court case, someone being shot in the foot and having to fight and fight and fight to get justice for it, or someone scrapping and chopping up voice memos to make it look like someone gave approval for a song when that is not what they consented to. So, do better. Period.
Do you think some people don't get that you are kind of a traditional girl?
Well, they don't get it when they see like the Heartbreaker remix video watching Snoop's car. But
She looks so traditional.
WCLUE.
Come on, the rap.
I should have known right from the start. You go and break my heart. Give me love, 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 give me love. But I just keep on coming back inside. Did to when you came on me. I should have known right from the start. You'd go and break my heart.
I love the way her voice sounds in this era. The whistles are great. Every part of her voice sounds good.
Okay, I have a question. What was your favorite book in high school?
Ooh.
The book of What Time the Class Was Over. Oh, you know what was my favorite book? The signing in book. The one you sign in when you're late or whatever. No, because for me to sit here and actually act like I read a book and would be a lie.
Does anything about this record feel different to you?
yeah, it's
Can we just have a moment and talk about how that was a decade of albums? Truly, an album every year. Don't act like you wouldn't be exhausted too. Jeez, that was a lot. That was a lot of records. Just to see it all flash before me like that. Debut, Emotions, MTV, Merry Christmas, Music Box. Oh my God, they're too fast. It's
Does
too
anything about
fast.
this record feel different to you?
Yeah, it's funny that you should ask that because the other day I was doing a radio interview and they asked me to like intro my song. And so I said, okay, here's my new record, Through the Rain, from my first album. And I'm like, oh, first album? But it was like, you know, a bizarre thing for me to say because it really does almost feel like my first album. Like, I don't know why, I think it's the way that I recorded it, the fact that I left
Wow.
town, like amidst all the stuff that was going on and figuring out, you know, the whole label situation, what I was gonna do.
In fact, a lot of it you recorded before you even had the new deal.
Oh yeah, I started working on this way before I had a new deal or knew where I wanted to go. I will never allow myself to be at that point. Like that's the one thing I've learned because now, you know, if it comes down to it, I'll just have to say no, lock my tour and say goodnight. You know what I mean? And whatever happens, happens. If someone's, you know, the bottom line is it'll be me that ends up, you know, losing money or losing an extra bit of promotion or whatever. And that has to be okay with me because life is too short.
You keep me going, and I really do love you.
When you keep crying out to be saved, but nobody comes, and you feel so far away. I can make it through the rain. I can stay
Performing in such an intimate setting was an amazing and a really kind of emotional experience for me. And I truly mean it when I say that the support of the fans is what always keeps me going.
Make it happen. Okay. This is what we're closing out with. This is really like this is a thread that I'm seeing for the Charm Bracelet era. She would close the tour shows with this song, and she's closing this special with this song as well. Really, this era, and really a lot of Mariah's music is about inspiration, but this is a rebirth moment for her, and this song feels like appropriate for that. I like it.
Believe in yourself and know what you want. You're gonna make it happen. Make it happen. If you believe within your soul, just hold on tight until I know. You can make it happen.
That's the end of it. Wow! Shining through the rain. Hello, Charmy. Hello. All right, y'all. Thank you for recommending that one to me. The Charm Bracelet era is so important to understanding Mariah's journey as an artist, her public image, and just her artistry in general, and her relationship with her fans, I believe. This is an era that a lot of people don't know about the songs from this album. It's a huge, huge piece of her message as an artist. I think that what gets pushed to radio and what gets put up on billboards and a lot of that stuff is very diva image-esque, which is not a full image of Mariah Carey. She has been, from the very beginning, from Vision of Love, her music is inspiring. That's a huge part of why people love her music. It's not just because, it makes them feel confident, it makes them feel sexy, or she captures their heartbreak really well, but she is inspiring to so many people. And her lived experiences deepen the message of her music that much more. This is an important piece of media. Hang it in the Louvre. Charm Bracelet belongs up there. Still one of my favorite track runs by her too is that Boy, I Need You, Yours, The One, You Got Me. God, it's just immaculate. I love that album. I really do. You're bringing on the heartbreak. I love the way she looked during this era. I love the way she sounded during this era. Charm Bracelet is an era that I just love the media from it. I love the interviews from it. I love everything. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Send me more stuff to react to. And I will see y'all again very, very soon. Bye!